One of the most enjoyable pages in the book Glory Revealed for me is to once in a while go back to this list that I have in this one particular chapter of fears that people face in life. I want to read you just a few of them. Now, they might be comical to you and me, but know that these are legitimate fears for people. People have to seek counseling for some of these fears. Most of you might have heard of arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders. But did you know that Anglophobia is the fear of the English culture? There are people who actually have a fear of people with British accents. And because of that, they need to seek counseling. Did you know that Lutrophobia is the fear of otters? These are people who specifically are afraid of otters. Did you know that Calrophobia is the fear of clowns? That Clinophobia is the fear of going to bed? Now let me ask you a question. What kind of fears do you face in life? I remember back when I was in the 6th grade, I was really afraid of actually a person. His name was Corbett Shelton. Now, Corbett wasn't the bully of our school. He was actually the one wimp on top of me in the food chain of our school. Every day after school, Corbett would get beat up, and then he'd come looking for me to detox. And every day, he'd mess around with me, and I would go home just crying and thinking, man, I am so afraid of Corbett Shelton. But one day, my dad heard me crying, and he walked in the bedroom, and I told him, I said, Dad, every day I get beat up by this kid named Corbett, and I don't know what to do. And my father, being an Iranian military man, looked at me, and he said, tomorrow after school, I'll be waiting for Corbett in the front. And so all day long, I walked around school, and all day long, all I kept thinking about was, today after school, my dad is going to slap another 6th grader, and we're going to get sued, and this is going to be great. And so after school, I run outside, and as soon as I get to the front, my dad is sitting there in his Buick Regal diesel. The ultimate, that's okay, Dad, I'll walk to schoolmobile, right? And so I go and I get in the car, and as soon as I get in the car, my dad looks at me and he goes, no, get out of the car and go out there and wait for him outside. So I stand there outside the car waiting for Corbett, and Corbett comes out of the school and sees me, but doesn't know that my father is behind me sitting in a car. So Corbett starts running towards me, and normally I'd run away, but this time, knowing my father was behind me, I stood my ground. And so Corbett runs up, and before he can kind of hit me, I just look at him and I said, let me tell you something, buddy. I am tired of you messing with me. You will never mess with me again. And somewhere during that words, messing and with me again, my dad got out of the car, stood right behind me, and his bald head starts turning blood red and looks right down at Corbett. Well, Corbett looked at me, looked at my dad, looked at me, looked at my dad, and he started to cry like a little sissy. And I want you to know that outside of my salvation, that was the second greatest moment of my life. Now, the reason that I was able to face my fear, Corbett Shelton, someone who was bigger than me, was that my father, who was bigger than him, was with me. You know, the Bible actually addresses fear. The Bible tells us to not be afraid. And the ultimate reason that we should not be afraid is no matter what giant we're facing in our world, whether it's the giant of cancer, whether it's the giant of job loss, whether it's the giant of loneliness, whatever it is that we're facing, it might be bigger than us, but it's not bigger than God. Listen to what the Bible has to say here in this Bible verse. Psalm 34, 4 and 5 says, I sought the Lord, and He answered me, and delivered me from all of my fears. Those who look to Him are radiant with joy. Their faces will never be ashamed. You and I can face our fears. Why? Because the God of this universe is with us.